Omaha Public Schools partner with a number of outside agencies to provide health care or after-school services. Right now, the district is building a facility on the Benson High School campus and partnering with Project Harmony.
John Chapman reports the new center is one of the district's largest and will focus on mental health.
There's a lot of work going on inside. There's also a lot of work going on outside of Benson High School. Construction workers busy building an $8 million, close to 10,000 square foot facility that will house a school-based mental health and counseling service. The new facility will help students, staff, and the community.
So education, mental health, physical health, everything that can come together in a place that they're already familiar with.
So this is the waiting area for individuals as they come in. We'll have soft furniture there.
Benson High School officials tell us this facility is necessary to help students who are dealing with issues outside of school that takes their attention away from their education.
That can be anything from home life situations to neighborhood issues and concerns to traumatic experiences, which can be anything. And we know that if we can help those students deal with those specific issues first and put themselves in the right headspace, then their education can all of a sudden become their priority.
This is our new grand entrance.
Mental health is the priority here, but there's also room inside for dental and medical services. And there will also be a training academy for students who are thinking about a career in mental and medical health.
So they can work with professionals, they can talk with professionals, they can use them as a resource and as a reference and hopefully a referral someday down the line.
This is all secure.
Project Harmony will be the main partner here, providing social, emotional, and mental health care.
So we will have therapists that come here to work directly with kids and families. We will also have people that we call mental health coordinators, people who can work with kids and families to better understand mental health, how the system works, and how to navigate the system.
Counselors and school officials tell us the most important thing this new facility will offer is hope.
We know that nationally fewer than half of our kids are hopeful. Gallup has been telling us that number comes in right around 47% of our high school kids across the country are hopeful. Number one predictor of their future well-being, and fewer than half of them have it. A center like this is hope, right? This brings hope to a community.
On your side in Omaha, I'm John Chapman, 6 News.
OPS tells us safety is a priority when constructing the new facility. Officials are hoping to open the center before the end of the year.